What's going on? I just decided to hop on. It's been a week or two. I don't know when the last time I did a video. I think it's definitely been at least about a week. Uh just just decided to hop on. I mean, I pretty much right now I'm a night owl. I pretty much have been sleeping most of the day. But then I'm pretty much up at night for the most part. Like not super late, but like probably like 4 in the morning, 3 to 4 in the morning. That's when I just go to sleep. But that's because pretty much that's really how I like to live. Like really, to be honest, I'm not really I'm not really a morning person. I never really was. Like the morning is primarily I primarily got up primarily for just working a 9 to 5. But I think my ideal, just kind of like the way I really the sweet spot I would say for me is like 11 to 7. 11 to 7 p.m. is like a real good sweet spot for me because I had a job. I was working at DeVry University, and it was weird because it was like I never had a job. Most jobs are 8 to 4 or 9 to 5, right? This job they wanted me to be working from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And it was so sweet because basically like I can like sleep in every day, and then like I think the job was only like 45 to 30 minutes, about 45 minutes from where I was living. So it was like I was pretty well rested by the time I got into my office, and I was basically doing IT support. So like it was like the only thing was after I got off work about 8 o'clock, I pretty much um everything is pretty much closing up. You can't really do anything as far as like any conduct any business. You just gotta wait till probably the next morning or whatever. But it was pretty chill because I could do most things. Like if I have to go run to the post office, I can go run to the post office. Like while I was at work, nobody bothered me. I had my own office. I even had like some students that was like work study students. They was like I looked at them as like my Santa's little helpers. Like they would just do most of the tasks that was needed. I mean, basically, I just basically had an office. I had like tickets, but it was pretty chill, man. I mean, that was how I was able to finish my book. I would just sit in my office, and it was like kind of like a Maytag job, and I would just basically play chess, write my book, occasionally do work, fix computers, whatever. And yeah, man, it was like pretty sweet. Now, I will say that the only time that if I really wanted to work like between the motivation to work like for myself during those hours, 9 to 5 or whatever, or get up a little bit earlier would be like to trade basically. Like if I was day trading, I would definitely want to be up at like 8 o'clock, uh, you know, trading or whatever, just monitoring. Because most of the trades, like when you trading, you make a plan before the day is even started. So most of the times the trades are pretty much automatic. Um, a lot of times the only manual trades you'll see if like you if the market swings a certain way, then you'll make some manual trades. But most of it is monitoring, because if you set everything up right, you basically you have everything kind of automatic. It's not so much like AI trading, because see a lot of trading financial institutions, they use AI trading or algorithmic trading, which is pretty much is just ran by uh basically an algorithm, actual program. So the basically entry points and exit points is all ran by machine code, basically, or Python to be exact, or other languages like Java. And they basically have this system that they just basically automatically trade with. It's just kind of like they software trading. So I mean, I'm not saying that that's something that I would do. I mean, but initially, like TD Ameritrade, they have it where you can basically you can get into a trade by setting up your if you want to basically get in, you would make a position as far as like what your price point you want to get into. And then if the price goes below a certain amount, you can set up your stop loss, and it basically will trigger as soon as it goes below a certain point as far as price. So you really just, a lot of it is staying up to just pretty much monitor your positions and stuff. But to be honest, if you really set up everything right, you really don't have to nowadays, because you have software. You really don't have to like sit and watch the stock market uh ticker and watch your trades. Like everything, a lot of times, because of the platforms and software, you can basically, like I say, set up your um positions to basically exit if it goes below a certain percentage of risk that you don't want to go. And then you could also basically set up a limit order to buy a particular stock if it goes below a certain desired price point. So a lot of times, really, if you do everything right, you really don't even have to like sit and watch your your brokerage account. It's been like this for years. So really you really can kind of like just sit back, like kind of, and monitor everything, and just make a plan, and basically find out um what you want to buy. And then of course, have, if you really day trade, you have scanners, and those scanners actually kind of alert you to maybe different stocks that have some type of like volume jump or price jump, and that's how you can kind of ride the momentum of certain stocks. So it's like basically other than that, you really don't have to just watch the entire markets. Like you could just monitor stuff. um so yeah, I mean, basically, like, that's it. Like, I mean, you know the two things, that reason why I'm very confident. I got some comments. I was just kind of pretty much talking. Um, oh, crystal clear. I used to. Oh yeah. Wonder what. Oh, okay. Yeah, I hope you talking about 11 a.m. to 7, because some people work 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Yeah, it's definitely no traffic. I remember that. Um, I definitely remember that. It was like, man, by the time you get out like 10 o'clock, you get in your car, it's no traffic whatsoever. And I mean, my job, it really at that time, it didn't pay a lot, but I really, to be honest, like I got there whenever I wanted to. So I could literally I could leave out the house, or I could get up at like 10:30 and then leave out the house. And then I'll be at the job at like 11:15, or later even. But yeah, it was no traffic. Everybody pretty much works 9 to 5, like, or 8 to 4. Um, Even if you run a company, I mean, like I have ambitions to actually have my own office. I mean, I'm gonna have to get up and go to the office. Like everybody is pretty much like locked in to 9 to 5. It's like we're like these little bees and these drones, and everybody kind of pretty much is locked into 9 to 5, 8 to 4, 9 to 5. Like, I mean, that's just how it is. So a lot of the traffic is like between what 6 to 9 o'clock, and then after about 10 to 11, shit, you could forget about it. Like the roads is pretty much clear. Now I will say, if I ever get to the point where I actually have some type of office and I'm running my companies and they get off the ground, I ain't gonna be going in the office every day. You best believe I'm gonna have everything set up to work from home. Shoot, I ain't gonna be in the office every day now. But everybody, yeah, rich to poor, everybody's locked in into to 9 to 5. 11 to 7. That's like I say, like I didn't had over probably what 50 jobs. That was the only job that I've ever had that was that type of schedule, but it was masterful. I mean, that schedule is, for me being a night owl, it was wonderful. Matter of fact, I think that would be my schedule. Shoot, that would be my schedule if I ever, like I said, have my own office. Well, I actually have my own office now, but I'm saying, like, if I have running a company and I have a large corporation or something, I will just be working 11 to 7. Other than if there's a town hall meeting or something like that, I'll be just working. I'll be working 11 to 7. That's I think that's like my sweet spot. You know what I'm saying? That's like worth its weight in gold. Let me put my microphone up. But yeah, I just pretty much I love that schedule, man. I had no problems with no sleep, nothing like that. I mean, but the thing about it is, I will say this. I've been working in IT for 15 years now, and one of the things about IT is I can do it if I'm tired. And I can do a lot of stuff when I'm tired. I mean, I'm a warrior, but I mean, I can do IT when I'm running on like no sleep, and I can still function because it's not labor intensive. IT is mental intensive, it's mind intensive. So it's a different type of thing. Like like you do like a labor job, like say like working construction. And working construction, you can make a lot of money. You can make a lot of money driving trucks as well, right? And those jobs, you need your energy. Your energy is everything. Like trying to like wing it and try to like run off no sleep, trying to do trucking or work construction or work in some type of warehouse or manufacturer facility where you got to be on your feet and you got to be like doing a lot of labor. That's where it gets kind of tough. And that's why a lot of times people are stressed because For every person that works in an office that's doing like accounting work, or let's just say white collar work, it's probably like 10 people that are doing, I would even say for every one person that's doing white collar work, it's probably 100 that are doing blue collar work, that you do need your energy a lot. Trying to run off no sleep, trying to work in a factory, assembling products, and putting stuff in boxes, and uh, you know working in some type of distribution center and stuff like that. Trucking, construction work, anything labor intensive, it is really, really difficult. Really difficult. But like one thing about like IT is kind of like, I would say, IT can actually be considered. It depends on what you're doing, because I'm a hardware. I primarily worked in hardware for 15 years. If you work in hardware, um, it's kind of considered a light blue collar job. The reason why I say light blue is because it's gonna be times that you're gonna be doing some like blue collar work, like low key. Like, okay, yeah, you could, like pretty much working hardware, you're gonna have like tickets, support tickets where you got to deal with people's hardware issues with their laptop or their desktop, um, software issues as well with those devices. But occasionally it goes blue collar with hardware, because you're dealing with hardware. It's boxes and shipments coming in constantly with like, new computers. You gotta be the one to take them out the box, pick the boxes up. You occasionally have refreshes, and then banks. Oh my god, banks and investment brokerage houses such as like J.P. Morgan Chase, Merrill Lynch. I think they like merged with Bank of America. UBS. What's that other one that I worked the project, or refresh project? It's a Switzerland investment company. I can't think of it, but banks and brokerage houses, or let's just say financial investment companies, um, they basically refresh their computers every 2 years. Like they do it like all the time to stay updated. So it's like, yeah, I mean, if you work in hardware, you pretty much, it's kind of like I say, a light blue collar job, because you, the person, is gonna be lifting those boxes, taking them computers out of the boxes, carrying those boxes to the the stock room, making sure the asset tags and all of that shit. Like it is a like I say, like it goes blue collar when it goes, like whenever is a shipment coming in. And it could, like, when I worked my last assignment, it was shipments coming in every day, you know um and you got to be the one to like lift these boxes and shit, right? So it's like it really don't get white collar until like you like a IT manager, for a managed service group or company, or you're dealing with software, because software ain't, you ain't dealing with no hardware. Like, you ain't fucking like fixing no laptops or desktops. You're fixing software bugs, and that's when it's white collar. But like anybody that's an IT technician, IT support engineer, whatever the title is, I mean, it kind of is like low key, kind of somewhat blue collar, because you do have to actually touch the hardware and move the hardware. So technically, it kind of gets labor intensive. like light labor, I would just say. But even still, like most of the times it is kind of white collar. You're sitting in your office or sitting at a cubicle, you know, managing tickets, communicating back and forth either through phone calls, emails, um, messenger, as far as whatever. I think the corporate standard now is Teams, right? So I mean, basically, that's what you're doing mostly. But yeah, it does go blue collar sometimes. But you know, the actual task. I mean, it really like I say, the only thing is like depending on what type of company you got, you know, you got some type of leeway and stuff like that. Like when I worked at DeVry, it pretty much I had my own office and then nobody really hardly check in on me. So I could just literally I could sit in my desk and just sleep for about a good hour or two. Some people I know they can't sleep, like they gotta sleep in a bed, you know, but I can actually like me shit. I'm a night. Like I can sleep standing up. I can actually sleep walking. I can sleep sitting in the car. I can sleep in a chair, a couch, you know, on a woman. I mean, I can sleep just about anywhere. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's like, yeah, it you know that job I could actually got kind of like sleep, but the other job that I left from that I was recently at, it really wasn't that much leeway to sleep. Like you had like if you wanted to sleep, you had to like in the building. I really couldn't say you can go anywhere and really like be unbothered. Other than like you go in your car or something like, but you know, it just depends on the type of job you got, you know, what type of position. Each position has its pros and its cons, but you know, if I had a company that was thriving and you know well funded, what I would do is I would have in the office, I would have like sleep pods. I would have like I would have my company be like performance based. So it's based off of your performance. I think Amazon does this. Amazon does this. I think Netflix does it too. It's basically based off of your performance. Like you could actually get let go if your performance level goes lower. So like yeah, I would have sleep pods. I worked at Microsoft for a couple days. Microsoft, man, you'll be fat working at Microsoft. They have unlimited drinks, not like liquor. I mean, I worked for a liquor company. I mean, I still got liquor, and I haven't been working there for like 3 months. I still got liquor left over, but they don't give you like you can't just drink on the job like that. But like they do have a bar there like an open bar, but nobody like I got hired during COVID-19, so um it wasn't nobody like drinking and stuff like that. So, but with Microsoft, you can get they got like unlimited juice, water, soda, seltzer water, and then they had freaking breakfast, lunch, and dinner catered every day, and they were paying you a sizable amount of money. I think I was making like over $300 a day those 2 days. And yeah, I ate everything that was in a little waiting area or food area. It's like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I was there, and I was the last person to want to be, you know, able to be in that type of environment because that wouldn't have been good for me because I shoot yeah I don't think that would have been great for the long term. But I've heard like other companies like Google, they have like you can bring your dog to work or some shit. I don't know. Like every company has its little perks, but what my perks of my company would be is that I would have like some sleeping pods or something, or a designated sleeping area. And I basically like have my employee, like if you just didn't get no damn sleep, hey, you're gonna have them days. You're adult, you know the meetings you got, you know what you gotta do. If you gotta go shoot the, um, get some shut eye for a couple hours, you go, sleep in the sleeping pod for a couple hours, and then you know what I'm saying, wake your ass back up, and yeah, man, like that stuff, man, it really affects you. Like if you don't have a lot of sleep, like you're crabby, you'll like have a you probably more um you're more frequent to have an accident, injury, probably will possibly get into a fight with someone, um the argument, because you just uptight. Like, I mean, I just don't really, I really don't, it don't matter to me at this point, because I 1 minute I'm working a job, like tomorrow I got a job to do, and the next day I don't have nothing to do, and then I just basically work on my house. Um, I bought like I bought like 16 sheets of drywall yesterday, so I'm like psyched up because I want to get this damn drywall put up in this house and be done with it. And it's like I'm looking around and I'm like, all of this, most of this drywall is already put up. So it's like it's just certain rooms that I just have to finish up. And I think them 16 sheets will pretty much it'll probably finish most of this house. And it's like, man, I'm gonna do a video on drywall, because basically drywall is something that it's it'll mess you up if you take it too lightly. Drywall, I'm gonna just say it like this: drywall is one of those jobs where you either one or two things. You either just better just pay somebody to do it, get them to do it. It'll probably, depending on how big your house is. Like my house is like, I think like 1,000 square feet or something like that. Like and it was basically a gut job, so it needed drywall throughout. I mean, basically, whatever the case may be, if you pay a company, you just want to pay them, get the drywall, get as much drywall as you can, and just pay them and get that shit done. I'm telling you. And then two, if you do it yourself, don't pussyfoot around. Just buy just buy all of the drywall. Just stack that shit up like freaking, like whatever, like books, money, whatever. Just if you need, like, really what I'm saying is, what I should have done was I should have just got 30 sheets of drywall and just stacked them in the room in the house, somewhere in the house, and just start stacking drywall. Because as long as you had a drywall, you can use them as you install. What I did was I just pussyfooted around and just waited to the last minute in Virgo fashion. And it's like, man, nah. Like it really it was times that drywall was expensive, but because it was some supply issues or something. But man, I should have just like got shit at least 20 sheets and just had them just to start, just sitting in a one room in the house. I mean, I'm talking about like when I first got this house like 2 years ago. I should have just bought like 20 to 30 sheets of drywall, just had them sitting, because that's what I did with like other stuff. Like I had a I had a freaking a toilet sitting in my house for like over a year before it was even installed. And I paid like close to $200 for the toilet. And it was like, man, all I had to do was just buy all of the drywall and just had it sitting in one room, and that's it, instead of like just getting sheets as I go. But what I think ultimately, if I had to think about it, it's gonna take, it was more than 30 sheets that was needed for this house. I think all of together it probably was like probably gonna be like 40 sheets in total. Cause my house is like it's big, and it's a pretty tall house. So it's like, man, it's to cover all of this house, man, it took a lot of drywall, you know. So it's like, man, if you're gonna do it yourself, you definitely want to hire somebody to help you, and just get all of the drywall first. If you ain't gonna commit to doing it all at once, just don't even mess with it, man. Just save your money. Because to be honest, I should have just paid somebody to do this. Like, just got the drywall, pay somebody, like, I think it costs like $1,500 on average to just have somebody just hang the drywall up. Don't pay them up in front. Don't pay them in full. Just pay them if they want to get paid by the day. You could do that, but a lot of companies, they'll just get paid after the project is done, and then just basically, man, just pay them to hang that drywall. It's gonna be a lot less stress, and then your house starts to look totally different once you put drywall up. I mean, it's nothing more depressing to see open wood beams and shit, when you have a house and it's not completed. Like, you just want to, man, I'm be honest, I wish I would have just paid somebody to just hang the freaking drywall up, get done, and then I'd be, move on to the next, because it just drug out too long. If you the type of person where you want to do stuff as you go, no, don't do that. Just pay somebody the money, hang the drywall up, mud it, tape it, you know, fill in where it needs to be filled in, and then just move on. Because I'm gonna tell you, like, man, this thing should have been done, and I just made a mountain out of a molehill. But yeah, it's best you just pay. Almost with anything, if unless you know you gonna do it, and if you gonna pussyfoot around in anything, man, just pay somebody to do it, man. I mean, just just pay them, man, because something you gonna do in a week, somebody will do in a couple hours. You know, it just, man, words of wisdom. Just come off that bread, man. Pay somebody to do it, man. Be less headaches, less problems, and then 9 times out of 10, if you don't have experience, you gonna do it jack leg. It ain't gonna be good. Just pay somebody else to do it, man. I just experience, like, it's the best experience I can tell you. Just pay somebody to do it, man. You'll be grateful later after it's done. You know what I'm saying? Oh man. But another thing, since I'm talking about houses and real estate and everything, you know, right now it looks like we're in a like the bubble is kind of bursted. So now, because the interest rates are higher, and that one of those things kind of like it triggers a lot of stuff. A lot of people don't understand this, but I learned this from the 2008 collapse. A lot of what I learned financially is from that 2008 market collapse, in recession or whatever, right? Um, that's when I actually kind of took on my financial journey to actually learn about personal finance, learn about money and whatnot. Because see, the thing about it is like you don't come out your mom's womb um learning about money. Even you, a lot of times we learn from what our parents have taught us. So in my case, I had I had typical parents where it's like middle class parents, they work jobs, right? And they told me like, middle class stuff, right? So I knew since I was like a youngster. I knew when I was like probably 5 or 6 years old. I knew I wanted to be rich. So I knew like after certain like 2008, like I need to educate myself. I need to become financially literate, and even beyond financially literate, I need to be a financial expert. Just like I'm good in IT, I need to be good in personal finance. I need to know as much as I can about finance. I need to know as much as I can about investing, and that's what I did. Started, heavily in 2008, and one of the things I noticed is that as far as what's going on with real estate is that this bubble is bursting. It's already bursted. The yoke is out the sack, right? As far as in terms of real estate. So from that, you have a situation to where basically people are you have a decline of mortgage applications. People are just like, basically, you know what, I don't want to pay a 5% interest rate. you know a lot of my friends, and even when I was looking, um you know the mortgage rates were like pretty much 3%. Now they're 5%. So what that means is that basically the home that was, $300,000, you would be paying a payment higher to almost to equivalent of a house that it was $500,000. That a lot of people are declining that mortgage rate, and they're just kind of receding from the market. So what is going on from that is his, kind of like was what usually happens with this, right? So basically, a mortgage decline, right, where people stop applying in mass as they were, right, because the interest rates are not favorable, right? So what happens is then you know it becomes a market panics for people selling their houses. They have to do what? I'm getting emails from my emails from real estate listings is a price drop. Real estate prices are dropping, right? So they have to price drop to, kind of like entice the people that are already looking on the market for a house to buy their property. So what does that mean? What does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? So what we had is, for the lab from 2020 to basically, I would say even 2022, right? Before the Fed drove up the interest rate, right? We had what is called a seller's market. So basically, seller's market is everything that is favorable for the seller. So like basically, like it was a situation where people were like overbidding on properties by 100 grand just to get them. I remember when I was working, that people were like really grateful that they were able to get a house, because like it was like almost like really difficult to get any type of house, because it was so competitive. Rates were already dropped. You know, the demand was high. The market, um, you know, was low as far as inventory. So it pretty much was a situation where a lot of people, they couldn't even find a house. They were like no houses, and yeah, people were talking about, they should probably um, bid higher than what the price is, just so they can be competitive. I mean, all of that was going on, during this housing boom. So now you have people that are kind of just basically retreating, and they're not trying to get any property because the interest rates are too high. And the people that are still on the market, people that are trying to sell a house, they're going to have to um, basically drop the prices so they can entice buyers to buy their property. So now that we had this seller's market, it was a seller's market like I've never seen it. I mean, this seller's market is just, I've never seen a seller's market like this. Like 2020 to 2022, I've never seen this before, right? It was something I've never seen before, because it was just too many things going on. It was, the interest rates was low. People, wanted to get property. They had some money. Some people had a surplus of money. Even my broke ass bought a house, you know, in 2020, right? So it was like it was just a storm, of people trying to buy homes, even trying to invest in properties, right? So now those prices are dropping to entice buyers. So now this is what we're going into, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first signs of what is called buyer's market. So everything was kind of leading. The seller was like, "Hey, I'll take your firstborn," and then $100,000 more over asking price, and I'll take your car, and I'll take whatever money and the credit cards you have in your wallet. And it was like, it was a lot of stuff going on. You had people in North Carolina just like basically just scouring open houses trying to find properties. Well, now those people, if you didn't buy, right, then you're basically, going to probably have to rent. You're gonna have to retreat. And then if you still are on the market and you don't really, the interest rate, doesn't bother you, well, you're going to become more valuable because you're in the market to buy. And for buyers markets, it profits. It swings. The pendulum swings towards the favor of the buyer. Now you have price points that are favorable, and you're going to have more price points that are favorable. And this is what you call the real estate economy, which is booms and busts. Well, now we're going into the bubble bursting, and I'm seeing the first signs of possible buyer's market. Now, here's the thing. This is I've said this before. Let me share a story of basically let me post a story about. I mean, not post, but let me basically let me talk about what one of the chairmen of J.P. Morgan Chase said to his investors on a call. This is where things can go worse. Like 2008, I started talking about 2008. I started talking about 2008, right? Well, let me show. Let me. I've talked about this before on my real estate videos. This is what happens in when it gets really really bad. Like I say, I've talked about this. I talked about the 2008 market collapse. It was actually a wholesalers market because first it goes into sellers market. We have this big sellers market from 2020 to 2022. Now I'm telling you, right now we are going into a buyer's market. Somebody can tell me I'm lying right now. Somebody can tell me in the comment section when this video is done. I know, I might be a little ghetto sometimes. I might be a little cray cray sometimes, but I know what I'm talking about. I am, if I have my gears and my ears to the street, I do know finance pretty well. What I'm seeing is the first signs of this bubble being bursted. Like I said, interest rates being too high. People are not wanting to deal with that high interest rate. Mortgage applications are declining. Prices are dropping to entice people that are already in the market or still in the market to buy their homes. We're definitely, I would say, as of now, August 2022, we're in first signs of a buyer's market. Now, the thing it's the first signs. The thing is that I don't think that it's not bad yet. It's not like this is a fresh buyer's market. It's not the like first. It's not like, really, really, it's fresh, because what I mean by fresh is that, prices are dropping, but everybody didn't get the memo. Everybody didn't get the memo. So, you still have a lot of high prices out there. And the only way that it's going to be enticing is if the prices drop so much that obviously the mortgage interest rates don't really matter, right? That $300,000 home, unless it's dropped by $200,000, it doesn't matter that it won't matter unless it drops to $200,000, because if it drops $200,000, somebody might take that 5% APR mortgage, because it still calculates to where it's affordable. It ain't there yet. you know, and watch people take this live stream and then they go start making they got way more subs than I have and way more engagement than I have, and they start talking about what I talk about. But you know what? I already know I'm the genius, and I'm the king, and I know people follow the king, right? So, anyways, yeah, I mean, it's still a fresh buyer's market, okay? And being that it's fresh, it's not um a full buyer's market where the favor goes, all the way to the buyer, where it's like, damn, I mean, typically, I'll just say an example of a buyer's market in full spectrum is that basically the favor is so favored to the buyer that they'll give like the buyer can come in the house, purchase the house through a mortgage. Well, let's just say the mortgage company will purchase the house, right? And then you don't have to pay any closing costs because the seller will just pay some of the equity or the sale of the house into the closing costs in order to entice the buyer to put some icing on the cake so he can have a smooth transaction to buy the house. Well, that would be one an example of full spectrum buyers market, to where you know the actual seller of the house would just basically just you know take a haircut, instead of it even being that $300,000 house, for example. Instead of it even being 200,000, the seller just says, you know what, you know, I'll even lower it to 180 if you sign the contract right now. That's when you have a full spectrum buyer's market. It ain't there yet, ladies and gentlemen. It's not there yet. This is just like I'm seeing the signs of an actual buyer's market right now. It is not fully there yet. Now, if it gets really bad, I'm gonna talk about the this guy. Is this guy a billionaire? Let me see here. He's definitely a millionaire. Let me see here. The CEO of JP Morgan Chase. Oh yeah, this motherfucker's a billionaire. Okay, so this guy. I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna talk about what the CEO of JP Morgan Chase is saying. He's telling his clients on a call that this might be worse than just your typical recession, what we are in store for. And some economists are saying that. You know, some economists are saying that. Some financial analysts have already said that. He's saying that this possibly might be something more than a correction, a market correction, a recession. This might be something that and this is from Fortune magazine, and a lot of websites, they give you just like a sneak peek, and if you ain't got no subscription, they like screw you. But yeah, he's saying that basically he's quoted as saying um JP Morgan Chase chief executive Jamie Dimon sees only a 10% chance of an economic slowdown that doesn't lead to a recession, while ominously warning that there are a 20 to 30% odds of even something even worse. So worse than a recession is like pretty much what I'm saying, which is like a severe like recession or even depression that happened in 2008. And when that happens, you go into something even better, depending on where you are at in life financially, and you go into what was going on in 2008 and what Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, said, that basically he looks forward to events like this where it's a wholesalers market. Okay. And when I say wholesalers, I'm talking about real estate. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. One of the things that I also watch is car prices. I correlate car prices with also housing prices. When I see cars start to lower in price, that's a good sign of where people are as far as your average person, in the scheme of things. Because let's just face it, even I'm gonna be honest with you. If you're following me, you've been following me for a while, whatever. You want to correlate car prices as well. Don't just look at real estate prices. Cause just let really be honest with you. What did they say? Like when the housing prices was up, right? What else was up? Car prices. So a lot of times when housing prices are up, everything kind of goes up with it. So yeah, you want to look at car prices as well, because the average consumer, they finance everything. So they finance a new car and they also finance a house. So a lot of those things are big ticket items. They're big purchases. A house is a really really big purchase to the average person, right? And a car is a big purchase as well. So when car prices are low, and, that's another sign of kind of where we at on the economic level. And when it goes this way, it depends on where you at financially. This can change your life, because then you go from, let's just say you've been following the Millionaire Savings Plan, right? And you basically saved about 50 grand. Well, when it goes to a wholesaler's market, now let's talk about that $300,000 house going to 200, and then the seller trying to sell that house for $180,000. That $300,000 house in a wholesaler's market, guess what it is now in the $300,000 in the seller's market, guess what it is in a wholesaler's market? It goes from $300,000 in the seller's market to buyer's market being 180. In a wholesaler's market, that house is $100,000 in a wholesaler's market. It might even be 80,000. How do I know this? I've seen it happen. 2008. I seen homes that were 15 grand, 10 grand, 4 grand, 6 grand, 5 grand. I bought a house, my first house I bought in a wholesaler's market. The little money that I had, I bought it for basically $1,000. I mean, now it's a fence. It's, they done updated the property. I think they still have it on Zillow. This is what I bought in the wholesaler's market. Let me switch this to, let's see, $1,000. This house, it was a mortgage for $100,000 for it. And this is the type of stuff you can get and this house is now demolished, but um this is what I bought for $1,000. Actually, $1 on record. It was $1, but it was a lot of fees and stuff like that. This is what I bought for $1 actually in 2000 and when did I buy this house? 2011. This is what I bought for $1. And it's like, yeah, I mean, when it goes that way, yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. The sad thing is that when it's already when the real estate market becomes a wholesalers market, unfortunately, there's other negative things that are associated with this. You're talking 2008. There's a deep recession or worse, depression. They probably won't say there's the depression, okay? But it's just going to be massive job losses that are associated with this. Credit squeezing, meaning that banks and lenders will just kind of tighten up, okay? Also, there will be maybe even spikes of homelessness because people are not going to be able to pay their rent, right? And yeah, people a high unemployment rate. So a lot of this is associated with a deep recession. Let's just say deep recession. There becomes a situation where there's a wholesalers market. And this is where this is like you can change your life if you actually have money. Because then this is where you can buy houses for $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 that were once on the market for $75,000, $80,000. This is where you can not just buy one house. How about three houses? Two houses for the price of the price that you normally would be able to buy one for that same 50 grand. And this is what the JP Morgan Chase CEO was talking about. This might be worse than an actual typical recession. And here's the thing. Whether I want it to be this way or not is not up to me. I don't want it to be 2008 again. Trust me. I don't want it to be 2008. The stuff that I saw in 2008, man, it was really really crazy. You had women that were signing up. They never sold sex a day in their life. They just signing up to go to Las Vegas to work at a bunny ranch. I mean, it's just crazy the stuff that people had to do to survive in 2008. Hey, to be honest, 2020, what the era of the OnlyFans. I mean, that's joining a bunny ranch versus the OnlyFans is not the same thing. I mean, basically showing strangers your private parts and you having sex or whatever versus you actually having sex for money. I mean, I won't say that it's the same thing, but you did have a lot of people having problems working and making money, and then all of a sudden joining OnlyFans, and then making a lot of money actually doing that. But the thing is that yeah, this is kind of like that, like, but it's more looming, such as this is how you know that it's a severe deep depression. It's very just basic. So if you lose your job and your neighbor loses his job or her job, and the people down the street lose their job, and a lot of people start losing their job, that's when you know it's a severe deep recession coming or already in progress. You people, and then it's like it gets worse when your neighbor loses. They're talking about they're struggling with their mortgage. They're possibly about to get foreclosed on, and then other people around you are talking about they're getting foreclosed on, that's when you know that, pretty much you're in a recession and in ultimately a wholesaler's market. Because that is exactly what happened in 2008. Everybody was talking about this. Like a lot of people, adults, they don't like to talk about the past. The 2008 recession is probably something, for you kiddies that are probably what your Generation Z. Your parents are not going to tell you what they had to do, what they had to go through, possibly in the 2008 market recession. The Great Recession is what they call it. They're not going to tell you that they lost their home, probably, unless you overheard them in conversation talking about it. They're not going to tell you that they lost their home in a foreclosure. You got a lot of parents that they like to cap. Parents love to cap to their children too, right? They won't tell them that they lost their house through a foreclosure, through a market correction. That they had to go live in a hotel room for a couple months to almost a year. They had to go back to live with grandma's house. They won't tell you that. They won't tell you that, me and your dad were divorced, but we had to live with each other just to survive. Even though we know we couldn't stand each other, but it was so rough that we had to just, put our differences aside and basically pay the bills with each other to survive. They won't tell you all of this, but this is what was going on in 2008. All right. But the thing is that, like I said, I don't want people to actually have to go through that, right? But it doesn't matter what I want. If this happens, I'm just gonna tell you, it goes beyond just a buyer's market. It goes into a wholesale's market. If you got the money, you know, this is the time. If you don't already have money, or if you're not already rich, even if you are rich, you put your head down and you ground the pavement and you buy as much real estate as you possibly can. And you take no holds, no bar, and you basically devour as many lambs as you can. I mean, you know, I just couldn't, I can't tell you anything different, because this is what happened in 2008. This is what people did. This is what I saw investors do in 2008. I mean, even me, I got this little weekend fiery roast of a lamb right here. Just, I didn't know what to do. I didn't have the proper expertise to do anything with it, and I was very much in over my head. But I was even broker than I've ever, like, I was super broke. I mean, when I bought this house, I was living in the back of my store, and between living in the back of my store, I just broke up with my girlfriend, and I was like, oh, I was like a homosexual. But I wasn't. I don't think I was a true homosexual, but I was a suspect homosexual. Because I was living with her, and I was living in the back of my store, and I was living with my mother. Shit, I was broke as fuck. But even me being broke, I knew how to buy real estate. I knew where to look, and I bought this here. This was my first property I have ever bought, and I bought it in after a recession. In a wholesaler's market. And this is the stuff I was trying to tell my mother. This is, why are you trying to go get a mortgage? There's a house right, over in Riverdale, a brick house that's 15 grand. Just take your money, go buy the 15 grand house, get it. I knew how to fix up stuff, and my uncle was still, he was around, and he knew how to fix up stuff. And we had like, people that were carpenters and stuff that knew how to fix houses. Man, that house could have been fixed up. And if it needed, I mean, obviously would have needed to be fixed up most likely. But I told her, I said, hey, buy this house for 15 grand. What she did was absolutely the opposite of it. She bought a house for 150 grand. And then the taxes went up, and she lost her job. She got sick, and it was a disaster. Okay. I mean, that's all I could say in short. And I'm just saying, like, this is what could possibly happen if it gets really bad. No, the thing is that in some places in America, I'm going to be honest with you, there's already a wholesale market. Okay. It's already Detroit. Let's go. Let's go. Let's talk about it. Detroit's already a wholesalers market in Detroit. The Gary, Indiana, parts of Chicago is actually going through a boom. So I won't say Chicago, because see, one thing about that whole Chicago up is the fact that it's Chicago. I could talk about different parts of Chicago where it's rough, but one thing about the fact that it's rough is still Chicago. It's still in Chicago. Okay, so Detroit, shout out to Erica Woman. I said Erica Woman, Erica Williams. She basically, I told her about my sister buying 3 tax lien properties, right? And she basically said Gary, Indiana is a shithole. Detroit is a shithole. She's right, and she has property. I think she still has property in Detroit. And she said it was like 50 years before Detroit or Gary, Indiana comes back. I ain't gonna cap. I ain't gonna lie to you. It was kind of embarrassing. Maybe I should have kept that to myself. But she's right. And I'll even add 10 years to that. How about 60 years? The only people that's gonna save Detroit is the generation Alpha, and possibly the Z's. The Z's would have to conjunction with Generation Alpha to pass the torch to possibly bring Detroit back. I mean, it's gonna take a half a century plus to bring Detroit and Gary, Indiana back. And the thing about it is not so much even back. It's just kind of stabilizing it. Because see, one of the things is with Detroit and Gary, I'm gonna talk about Gary next. Detroit is basically a city very similar to Gary, where it needs some, what I call, it needs minimizing, minimalism, like, because basically you have a city where it had a whole bunch more people than what is there now. So the people are already gone, right? So you have to downsize is the correct word. You need to they need to do downsizing. So this is what happened, okay, just to show you a little bit more of what I'm talking about. Chicago, they it takes them a while to basically demolish homes, but they will do it eventually, right? So basically my house was demolished 2 years after I purchased it because I didn't fix it up in time. And what a lot of these properties, they just need to be demolished. That are not let's just go lowest price. Let's see what we talking about here, right? So let's get all of this little crap out of here. So they, as you can see, they have some type of development that they have going on here, right? So okay, fine. They have some future plans I see in the works. So let's just go multifamily and just get rid of this townhome shit. Because I mean, it looks like they have something on Edmond Place that they have in the works. So, for example, this building here, this building, all three of these buildings, $2,500. Now, here's the deal: if you know a master carpenter, okay, or if you are obviously already are a master carpenter, you can rebuild this house. Rebuilding, depending on what some people say or not. Some people say it's easier to rebuild a house. I'm of the opinion that it is. Some people say it's just easy to just demolish a house and then rebuild a whole nother house. I think that it's easier to rebuild an existing structure versus um, a new structure, from foundation to roof, right? But I mean, here's the deal: $2,500. You know, honestly, to be honest, these buildings need to be demolished. Probably nobody will buy them, most likely, right? That's why they price so low. This house, the trees is basically covered the house. This house needs to be demolished. So this is what happens when you demolish houses. One, you deal with the urban blight. This is all urban blight. It just basically whatever houses that are already on this block, they are just eyesores. They make the whole block look bad. They make the houses that are not structurally messed up, or they make them look bad. The other houses look bad. I can show you places like in Gary where they should just take the whole block and just use eminent domain, just level the whole block, and just basically, even the houses that some people live in, just pay them to move and just basically just rip the whole block up because it's just too many abandoned houses. And those are the things that need to be done. And I'm not gonna say as far as the government, do they know or what they don't know? Maybe they don't know. I don't know. But this has to be done because if you don't do it, maybe I'll talk to Generation Alpha, the kids that possibly, I don't know, somewhat watch my videos or somehow. In order to take care of let's just call it neighborhood stabilization, you have to demolish the properties. The reason why is it works a few ways. I'll explain this. The reason why you need to demolish properties is, one, it brings down the other houses around because you don't demolish the properties. It just brings down the whole freaking city, the whole neighborhood, right? The whole block, right? Two, you don't give anybody an advantage. I mean, or any type of you don't set a standard to where even if somebody like takes care, like even if they own the property, if you got a whole bunch of other people, let's just say in my experience, my house, if you let a whole bunch of little old broke people buy houses and don't fix them up and just leave them up, right? That's just gonna set a standard. I could just keep that house and just let it sit there. I can even, let my house go to shit, right? And then it just sets a standard to where it just basically people can have their houses look like anything. Like, I'm gonna be talking more about real estate. I'm gonna be talking about um type B neighborhoods, grade B neighborhoods, grade A neighborhoods. One of the things that I probably didn't mention, and even when I talked about grade C neighborhoods, and especially grade B and A neighborhoods, one of the things about grade C and above neighborhoods, they have certain type of housing codes And if you violate any of those codes, you get some type of ticket or citation, and you have to pay that citation. If you have a house in a grade C or above neighborhood that looks like crap, the city will just basically demolish your house. I don't care. Like, a lot of these houses, probably most the owner is not available or around. They won't go into any housing court or anything like that. And it'll just the city will demolish the house, right? Well, it's even you could even be living in the house, right? And they'll still demolish the house because your house is not up to code, right? The code is a standard. It's American, it's American housing code. You know how I know about this? Because I took construction in college. There's an American housing code. There's a Canadian housing code. Every city has codes, or is supposed to. If you don't set a standard for any type of housing codes, you just let people just keep their houses just look like shit. Guess what? You know, it just basically sets a tone that your house can just look like shit. And then three, there's another and more important reason why cities should demolish homes. It stabilizes the area around the other houses around it, and also brings up home value. It makes your city stabilize as far as the local economy. The real estate economy is part of the city's economy. If you don't demolish the houses, they basically have a issue where basically what I'm saying is if you demolish the houses, it brings up a demand for real estate because basically it shrinks the existing vacant homes. All of these homes are vacant homes. They bring down the price of the other homes, and they also basically it's an oversupply, and it just messes up the local economy. So you basically want one thing about demolishing homes is it basically brings up the demand for the houses because it's like basically it shrinks the supply. So those are the three reasons that why cities need to demolish homes, and it is very very important. All of these are important. Okay, and this is what you have in Detroit. Now I'm gonna show you Gary, Indiana, because Gary, Indiana has the same issues. It's even worse, I would say, than Detroit. They have the same issues. So these houses, this one probably I don't know might be able to work with, but this one, I mean, these houses can be fixed, but this one, I don't know. I mean, it's a higher price because see, here's the thing: Gary is anything near Chicago, you know, it just Gary has a lot of. If people knew how close Chicago is to Gary, they would be trying to buy right now because it really is close to Chicago, and this is because of basically the inflation or whatever. The prices are high, but even still, even 14 grand, who cares? These houses it need to be up to code or demolished. I mean, obviously these houses are on the market. If was somebody buy them, I don't know. But a lot of these houses, they're not listed, but they look like this and they look worse. Like this one is already gutted, which is good because that saves in demolition costs. But these houses need to be either given away to the city or demolished because they're just sitting, and nobody wants to buy them. Um, these prices are definitely inflated. You know, a lot of these houses were like, I saw 4 grand, 6 grand. You know, now they they want to add $20,000 to them for some reason. Maybe somebody will go, but the thing is that when they don't go, which it's a lot of houses that ain't nobody trying to do nothing with. My sister, a lot of the properties that she got on the tax lien, she don't have the money or the know how to fix them up. They're probably not going to be fixed up. So I mean, this is an example of a long term wholesale market. You got some cities that, you know, they dealt with recessions and everything too. You know, crime issues. You know, it was a serial killer on the loose in Gary, Indiana. A lot of people just left. You know, it's people that they found in abandoned houses that were, you know, dead bodies. It was a serial killer on the loose. It's like it just basically it's cities where it's just a wholesale market. It just stuck. This has been Gary has been a wholesale market. Detroit has been a wholesale market for the last, I want to say, 15 to 20 years. You know, at least I definitely I'll say 15. I'll stand on 15. You know, so the thing is that you know, in that sense of things, there's opportunity for you know, markets like this, but you know, it just how you look at it. You'd have to be a very optimistic person because, hey, you know, there's something going on here. You know, you got to think to yourself, why is this a permanent wholesalers market? You know, it's like, hey, what's going on here? You know, but anyway, definitely gonna change the title to this video. I'm gonna hop up off of here. I'm gonna head to bed. But hopefully this is helpful for you to gauge what's going on in real estate in this current time.